Well, hi, and welcome back to another episode of Heart and Health Wellness. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Welch, and I'm so excited that you're here. Today, we're actually kicking off something really special. This is a first for me to do an interview on this podcast. And this is the very first episode of The Return, which is a working mom interview series. And I'm so excited to finally share it with you. This series came out of a conversation that I kept having not only with myself, but with my patients and clients and with moms that I connected with online about what it's actually like to go back to work after having a baby. Not the highlight reel version that you see on social media, but the real version, including the guilt, the grief, the exhaustion, the identity shift, the moments where you wonder if you're making the right choice, all of it. So in each episode, I sit down with a working mom and we just talk honestly about what their return looked like, what caught them off guard, what's kept them going. And these are real women in real careers doing the hard and beautiful work of showing up for their families and their professional lives at the same time. So my guest today is Terrica. She is a doctorate-prepared nurse practitioner practicing pulmonary medicine in Atlanta, Georgia. She's also a wife, a mom to a 4-year-old son and a 4-month-old daughter, a content creator, and honestly, one of the most self-aware people that I've had the pleasure of talking to. What makes Terrica's story unique is that she hasn't gone back yet. She's still on maternity leave. And so we get to hear what that in-between space feels like. The anticipation, the joy, the fear, and the very real financial reality that makes going back to work less of a choice and more of a calling that she's choosing to embrace. So I think you're really going to love her. Thanks for being here. Let's get into it. Well, hey, Terrica, thank you so much for coming on. I'm excited for us to get to visit today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited as well.
Before we get started, if you can just give us a little introduction to who you are, like what makes you tick, what you do.
Okay, so my name is Terrica. I am actually a doctorate-prepared nurse practitioner, and I have been a nurse practitioner now since 2017. So long time. I reside in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. I'm originally from Alabama,
Okay.
and I am married to my husband, my college sweetheart of 7
Oh,
years. And we have 2 beautiful children. I have a 4-year-old son named Braden, and I have a 4-month-old daughter named Brielle. So the little spare time I do have, I enjoy spending it with them. We love to travel. I have a lot of different things that I do outside of work. I love doing content as well. So that's something
mhm.
that I do outside of work. Crafts. I'm like a DIY, queen. I feel like I can to look at something and just try to do it myself. So I have lots of different things that I like to do.
That's awesome. What kind of crafts do you like to do? I'm just curious.
So I do vinyl T-shirts and,
Okay.
canvases, totes, cups, mugs, things like that.
Nice. I have a very artsy fartsy side, and I used to do a lot more with it, kind of like scrapbooking, but not scrapbooking, but more like abstract art and paints.
Okay.
Like I did Bible journaling and things like that, but I haven't been into it since I had my son, which is now almost 3 years ago. So I really need to get
Oh,
back into
wow.
it. So you're
Yeah, yeah.
inspiring me.
It's good to have that outlet.
Yes,
Something
it is.
outside of mommyhood.
Yes, exactly. Okay, and I'm curious which part of Alabama you're from because I live in Northwest Florida, close to Destin, which is basically
Okay.
South Alabama. So I don't know which part
Yeah.
you were in, but
So I'm from Montgomery, Alabama. Now my
okay.
husband is from Mobile, so that's closer
Oh,
to
okay.
this. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like an
he's
hour
right
away.
Alabama. Mhm. Yep.
Very fun. Okay, cool. So you're in a unique situation. First of all, love that you're a nurse practitioner. I work in healthcare. I'm a graduate medical educator. So for people who don't know, family medicine physicians have to go through residency before they can be
Mhm.
on their own. And so I'm faculty for a family medicine residency. And we work with
Nice.
a lot of nurse practitioners with what we do. So love what you do. Thank you for that. But you're
Sure.
unique in that with this series, at least, you've been back at work with a 4-year-old for a while. And then you
Mhm.
also are on maternity leave now with your 4-month-old.
Yes. Yes.
So we can talk about all of it. I'm curious about the part of like what it's like being on maternity leave right now, but I'm also curious about how it might be different from last time. But before we get into all of that, just tell me about your little ones, like your 4-year-old, what is he into? Your 4-month-old, what is she doing? Where's she at developmentally?
Okay. So my 4-year-old, and I can give you a little back history. My 4-year-old, when he was first born, he was actually premature. So he was a 3-pound baby. And that was so difficult for us because we don't have family that's super close by. I mean,
Mm.
I'm 2 hours and 45 minutes away from home. My husband is roughly 5 or 6 hours away from home.
Okay.
And so dealing with, you know, him being premature, that was very challenging, when we talk about the postpartum, and my maternity
Mhm.
leave. We can get into that a little bit later, but right now, he is into all things trucks and cars and Blippi and Miss Rachel,
Uh-huh.
all of those things. He actually is in speech as well because he had a speech delay initially, and he's thriving. He's doing so, so good, having full-blown conversations like a little man.
And then once
Um
they start, they don't stop. They
he
just
gets
keep
hot.
going.
I'm like, "Oh my goodness." He's going on and on and on. But I love that, and I'm so happy, that that's where he is right now. As far as my daughter, she is in the stage she's trying to turn over, and, she's cooing and babbling, and she's really just starting to get, like, that little sort of personality, you know?
Uh-huh.
So that's very fun to watch. She still sleeps a lot, which, I'm not mad about that. She gets her
Right.
sleep. But it's just so fun. She'll look at us and laugh or smile, and it's sweet. It's really sweet.
Does he like being a big brother?
He loves it. He loves it. He'll go over, like, if she's crying, he'll try to put her pacifier in, or he'll try to swing her, um, rock her swing. She's in the swing hooked up, and he'll try to, like, kind of just sway her back and forth to see if that'll calm her down. He'll ask
Yeah.
to hold her, and then he always says, "My baby." He doesn't say, "My baby sister." He's like, "My baby. Where's my baby? Where?"
So cute.
It's so cute. It's so cute.
I feel like that age gap is so underrated.
Mhm.
I just feel like there's so much pressure to do like the 2-year gap, and I hear it all the time. And then as I'm going through this, and of course I only have one, but I'm just like, I can't imagine having an infant right now and dealing with this toddler stuff. So
Mhm.
I imagine having them spaced out like that a little bit is
Yeah.
probably nice in some ways.
It is because, your 4-year-old's pretty independent. So we can lay out his clothes and he can put them on himself. He can take
Mhm.
himself to the restroom. Those are things he can feed himself. So it's like we cook
Mhm.
the food, here you go ahead and eat.
Mhm.
We don't have to worry about changing 2 diapers, for kids
Mhm.
and feeding 2 at the same time and things like that. So it makes it a lot easier personally.
Yeah.
The only thing, and I keep telling my husband this, the only thing is sometimes I do wish I had them just a little bit closer
Okay.
because my son is always wanting somebody to play with. And so right now,
Mm.
his sister is so young, so she can't really
Yeah.
do anything. And he's just like, I want something to do. I want to go to a friend's house. I want to play with a friend. So
Yeah.
we have to incorporate lots of play dates so that he is
Yes.
not by himself.
Yeah. No, I'm sure there's pros and cons to every
Yeah.
situation, but
Yeah.
eventually she'll get bigger and then she'll drive him crazy and then he'll
Yep.
be like, "Why did we ask for this?"
Mm.
So, I guess let me just ask you, and everything's going to be in contrast to last time. So, are you in the same position that you were in when you had him?
I'm with the same company,
Okay.
different role. So when I had him, I was actually working in an outpatient facility, and it was a
Okay.
unique role because we were like a hybrid practice basically. So it was hybrid in the sense that we did urgent care as well as primary care. So we were
Okay.
open 7 days out of the week. I worked every single weekend, which I did not
Mm.
like. But we were open 7 days out of the week, but we were seeing both urgent care visits as well as primary care. So
Okay.
after I got pregnant, I started looking for something else because my husband was like, working every weekend is just not really going to work for our family, which I agree 100%. So I transitioned into this role. So I'm now inpatient in the hospitals and
Okay.
I'm working 3 12-hour shifts. And
Okay.
every other week I pick up an 8-hour shift. So,
Okay.
so a little bit different there.
Yeah. What do you like better about this setup?
This setup, though the hours are long or longer than what I had originally, I do like the fact that I get days off in the middle of the
Mhm.
week and I do not have to use
Mhm.
PTO. And so my PTO just accrues, and I am able to take off long blocks without having to worry about extra coverage. I also love the fact that when I leave work. I don't
Yeah.
have to come home, I don't have to chart. So in my first position, I was
Nice.
at home
Big
charting
difference.
until 11 or 12 a.m.,
Yeah.
and having to get up and go to work the next day. Because we were set up as that hybrid practice, with it being urgent care, we saw several walk-ins. So, I had my scheduled patients, but I also had patients that walked in. So I was leaving work late. I had extra charts, it was a lot. It was
Mhm.
and now, once I leave work, that's it because we have others coming onto the shift and they can pick up where I left off or cover,
Yeah.
follow up on labs, anything that I've ordered. So
Yeah,
I
that
love
makes
that.
so much sense. I think a lot of what I'm talking to moms about is that this traditional 9 to 5 structure where it has to be 9 to 5 every day just doesn't
Mhm.
work. And
Mhm.
we need more flexibility or some different options. And so, yes, those 12-hour days, I'm sure, are very long and tiring. And having that flexibility during the week to do appointments and activities and things is probably really, really nice.
It is, especially when you don't have to take off work to do it. You're already off.
Yeah.
You can, you know.
And then not bringing it home at night, just being able to leave
Mhm.
work at work and go home so that you can have that division in your brain really
Yeah.
helps, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's very nice.
I want to take a moment to tell you about We Are Ama. They're a women owned small business, and their mission is to empower moms to thrive and feel good. And they've received over 6,000 5-star reviews for their cocoon, which is a must have for new moms. It's functional, stylish, and breathable, which is especially important for living in Florida. I absolutely loved wearing mine because it made me feel both beautiful and comfortable while I was breastfeeding in public. And even now, I still use it as a soft blanket or a stroller cover for my baby. If you're looking for the perfect baby shower gift or postpartum essential, check out the new Mama Bundle. It's packed with thoughtful items like a cocoon, herbal sitz bath, nipple balm, and more to support moms through that fourth trimester. And just for you, We Are Ama is offering 15% off your purchase. Just use the code Melissa at checkout at weareama.com. So, how has, I guess it's the same company, how has maternity leave been? Do you feel supported? Like you can be totally hands off? Have you been engaged with work still? What has it been like for you?
So I have been engaged a little bit with work, just mainly checking in on the meetings, making sure that I'm up to date on different changes. There have been a lot of changes, and so I wanted to make sure that I am abreast as to what's going on when I get back to work. The one
Yeah.
thing I do love about my organization is that outside of your FMLA, you can take an additional 24 weeks of
Okay.
maternity leave. So
Nice.
I decided to do that to bond with my baby, which I did the first time as well.
Okay.
So I'm on month 4 and I go back in another 4 months. So it's
That is
very
so
nice.
nice.
Yeah, it's very, very nice. And so you don't find that often,
No.
really. At all. So I decided to just take advantage of that and just really spend that time with my babies and adjusting. I do feel supported. I've had, my colleagues check in, making sure I'm doing well, asking how I'm doing, how's the baby, how my son is being a big brother. So they're all very excited. And my group is wonderful. They are full of moms, so they understand, is.
Yeah, it does help when you have other moms who get it and are supportive, and it
Mhm.
definitely makes it feel more like a community, and that support is really helpful.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, um with baby number 2, does maternity leave feel different? Do you feel more prepared going back, or is it just like a totally different experience?
So I do feel more prepared, but I will also say I do feel more guilt as well.
Okay, tell me about that.
So, and I've just been thinking, I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to go back to work, right? Because we have to live, we have to eat, we have to, pay bills. But it's just the fact that I have to leave my daughter. My son's he's in school, so he's getting ready to start kindergarten. So, he
Yeah.
has to go to school. But, just I feel bad leaving my daughter, and I almost feel like
Mhm.
I'm going to end up in the same situation that I was in with my son, excuse me. So with him, he was literally like crying and begging for me not to go to work, like in the mornings.
Mhm.
Like I'm getting up, getting rest. He's like, "Why do you have to go? I want to be with you." And that just really hurt me a lot. Like there were
Mhm.
many mornings on the way to work, I'm crying because I'm like, how am I supposed to do this? My son does not want me to go. He wants to be with me. And I feel
Yeah.
like I'm going to get the same feeling with my daughter.
Yeah.
And that's very difficult for me to digest because, especially being on maternity leave so long, you just spend so much time bonding, all the cuddles, all the love, all the first
Mhm.
things, right? First food, first steps, first rollover.
Rolling
And,
over.
and it's just knowing that when you go back to work, there are other firsts that you might miss. This
Mhm.
just very like first steps, that's very, very difficult.
Yeah. Did your son do daycare? Did you have someone stay at the home with him, or how did y'all do that?
So he did daycare. My husband was working from home, and so he was having a hard time. He wasn't able to, be on meetings and watch my son. So he did
Sure.
do day yeah, he did do daycare, and so he's in pre-K right now, and then he'll be in kindergarten in August. So
So fun. And then for your daughter, do you plan on putting her in daycare as well?
yes, but
That was a big sigh.
when I go back to work, I'm hoping to keep her out just a little bit longer if possible, since she's at a stage where she doesn't have to have full on, like, you don't have to entertain as much as a toddler. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that we keep her out maybe at least another 4 months so she's out a full year. We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see how it goes, but that's what I'm hoping to have. And I mean, don't get me wrong, daycare is not bad, right?
Yeah.
They have social development skills that they have to develop. So they have others that they can play with. They have entertainment. They're able to learn. I do feel like it does them good. It's just difficult, as a mom when you have to cut that little tie.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, mine is in daycare and we love it. We love his teacher. Like we've got a great setup. He loves
Yeah.
his friends. Like all is good. But we walk to school together most mornings, and when I leave him at the little cafeteria table so he can eat his breakfast and he's clinging to me and I
Mhm.
have to pull myself away and say, I love you. I'll see you afterwards. Like
Yeah.
I know he's going to be okay in 30 seconds. But
Yeah.
in that moment, it
Yeah.
sucks. It's awful.
It does. It really
Mhm.
does. And it's
Yeah.
not really a feeling you can really explain fully. It's just something, it just
No.
does something to you.
No. And I have girlfriends who have like a nanny or a babysitter who will
Mhm.
come and so they're not even dealing with daycare, but it's the same feeling of
Yeah.
taking your baby away. I mean, that's probably one of the hardest things that working moms struggle with, I think.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
It's rough.
It
So,
is.
you said something a minute ago I wanted to ask you about. You said something like I have to go back to work. And so that was my experience too of like I make a lot of money for our family. It's not an option for me to not do that. I've
Mhm.
got student loans that need to be paid off.
Mhm.
Like
Yes.
there are plenty of reasons that me not going back to work wasn't an option. So it was more of like I had to figure out how to make this work because it wasn't a choice. And that's different for moms who are like, well, my husband makes more money. I make some, but it's going to be about the same as daycare. Might as well stay home. That's a very different situation. So tell me a little bit about like what you meant when you said that if I have to go back to work and why it didn't feel like a choice.
Yeah, so this situation, unfortunately, when the layoffs happened, we were affected by that. And so
Mhm.
my husband was laid off and
Yeah.
he's now pivoted
Okay.
into a different route, which has been great. And it's
Good.
been something that he's been wanting to do. But, my side will bring the stability. So he's gotten into real estate. Real estate is great. I feel like it's
Yeah.
fantastic. However, real estate can be up and down. And
Mhm.
so, with my job, I would have exact checks, 2 weeks. We know exactly what's coming in. We don't have to wait. We don't have to wait. If a deal falls through, we won't be affected by that. So that's exactly what I meant by, I have
Yeah.
to get back into work.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the case for many, many families.
Mhm.
We're just not set up at this point for one income.
Right. Right. No, not with inflation and, years ago, you could really survive off of one income. You can do well, but now it is
Not today.
difficult. Not today. The way groceries are, gas is almost $4 a gallon. It's just no,
Yeah.
you need I feel like you need something. And if you don't have, a partner, then I do feel like if you can get multiple streams of income, to just make it and be okay, I feel like that's probably needed these days.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just thinking about when you're transitioning from maternity leave back into this career life and career routine, which of those four parts, body, mind, relationships, or spirituality, do you feel are most challenged? Like, which one's the hardest to take care of when you make that adjustment?
So for me, I would have to say the body and the mind. I have started getting back into working out. But I feel like when you are a mom, so much of everything you do and who you are really is geared towards serving other people. So you're serving your kids. If you are married or in a relationship, you're serving your spouse. And then
Mhm.
at the very end of the day, you may have a little bit where you serve yourself, but that
Yes.
can be very, very rare in some cases because by
Mhm.
that time, your energy is depleted. You
Yep.
are exhausted and you don't have any time for yourself. So for me, I feel like that has been challenging or will be challenging. And honestly, just the constant struggle of having to think about everything. So mentally, I am tired.
Mhm.
Mentally, I am, we are the house manager. We have to get the appointments together. We have to think about outfits and
Mhm.
if you want pictures, you have to plan everything. And my husband, he is great. He is a wonderful husband, a wonderful dad. But I think it's something about moms, it's just in us.
It's just
It's
different.
different. It just comes second nature, you know. And it feels like my mind is constantly on a rat
Yeah.
wheel. Like it's just constantly going. I also dealt with a little bit of anxiety, postpartum
Mhm.
anxiety afterwards too. So just thinking about all the health issues, and being scared, fearful. So I touched a little
Mhm.
bit on dealing with what I had to deal with my son,
Yeah.
with him being premature. I also had preeclampsia, which I did develop preeclampsia this time as well.
Okay.
So, it's just been a lot, of anxiety, of fear, of just emotionally drained and tired. But also good moments, of course, happy and joy.
Yeah.
But it has been challenging. And then finding the time to just take care of myself, start exercising, try to get my blood pressure back down, it's been, yeah, difficult.
It's a journey. I want to take a quick second to speak to a very specific mom. If you are listening to these conversations and these stories, and a part of you is thinking, I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this, I want you to know that I see you, I understand, I get it. And that feeling is not a weakness. It is a signal that something needs to change. And it doesn't have to mean walking away from your career in order to change it. That is exactly what a clarity call with me is for. It's a free conversation where we figure out together what's actually going on, what's getting in the way, and what a real path forward looks like for you specifically. It's not generic advice, it's not a sales pitch, just an honest conversation with someone who works with moms in this exact place every day. We'll get on a call. We'll talk about your situation. If I think I can help, I'll let you know. If I think there's another option that's better, I'll let you know that too. So if that is you, the link to book is in the show notes. It takes 30 seconds and it might be the most important 30 seconds that you spend this week. Now let's get back to the conversation. Yeah, it is
Mhm.
hard. And you're also a content creator.
Yes.
So you know the life. of everything is done for the day and you're laying in bed working on the content
Yeah.
and editing and all of those things. And you have that mindset of, yes, I have this full-time job and I like these other projects because it keeps you busy and entertained and all of that. So trying to fit, and I don't think people who don't do that, I don't think they understand really like the time that it takes to do that.
Oh my goodness.
There's so much. And then you're like, when am I supposed to work out? Or like, can I do this while I'm sitting on my bike or what?
Yeah, it's another full-time job in itself, and I know you get that too because you have a
Yeah.
podcast, so even sitting down to edit your podcast and probably promote your podcast and things of that nature, like, it takes a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun, but it's a
Mhm.
lot. I think one of the things that gets me, I'll hear people say, well, you just need to get up earlier before the baby wakes up and you can work out then. And I'm like, can you tell me when that's going to be? Because one day
Yeah,
it'll be 4 a.m. and one day it'll be 7:30. So I don't know how to plan for
you
this.
yeah, you can't, there's no way, and I still get up in the middle of the night. I'm still nursing, so I'm up at 3, 4 a.m. every night or every morning, and then
Mhm.
I'll go back to sleep for another 2 hours, and then it's time to get up again to help get my son ready for school. I mean, it's like, when do you have the time?
Yeah, I try to encourage myself to think about, like the short walk to school is movement. And every time he says, Mommy, hold you, which is his way of asking me to pick him up, you know,
Mhm.
I'm I'm carrying 35 pounds around. And if I do some squats, like that counts as movement. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
call it like mini mommy workouts.
Yeah, yeah. Thankfully, with my toddler, I mean, I'm getting a lot of moving in because I'm running behind him or chasing him or, whatever.
Yeah.
So I do get that in. And then when he's at school, I will try to get a quick home workout in while my daughter is
Hmm.
sleeping if she's taking a
Hmm.
good nap. But now she's in the stage where she's catnapping. So, I mean, she may go to sleep for 30 minutes and then she's up again. So,
It's so rough. I do
yeah.
think that's one of the nice things about being on maternity leave, and especially for you being on maternity for a long time, is like you get into that routine and that rhythm of when the older one is at school and you have that downtime, you can take care of things around the house and you can get your workout in and the flexibility of being at home. I felt like I
Mhm.
finally got that around the 3-month mark, and then I went back to work and I was like, well, shoot,
Yeah.
it's real tricky. So, when you think about going back to work, you've obviously done this before, but it'll be a little bit different this time. Are there parts that you're nervous about or worried about how things will change? You mentioned that, just having to say bye to her is hard, but are there other parts that you're thinking about?
Actually, yes. So, even going back into work, so I think I've been a little bit nervous to make sure that I don't forget the things that I've done in my career and how my job, my role
Uh-huh.
actually is.
Mhm.
So, I actually do pulmonary medicine now. And so
Cool.
there are lots of things that, we have to take into account with
Mhm.
pulmonary, with your lungs. So it's not just
Mhm.
your lungs. You have to think about, the patient's heart and, just a lot of other things. And so I want to make sure that I'm staying up to date on current practices,
Okay.
making sure that my technical procedures haven't changed. So that has gotten me a little bit nervous because I'm going on maternity leave for such a long stretch. If
Sure.
I was off 3 months, fine, but I'm taking a full 8 months off. So going
Yeah.
back in is I'm gonna be a little rusty, I feel like, and getting back into that groove, I think will be maybe challenging.
Yeah, that's something that I definitely hear a lot, especially for women in healthcare because it's so hands-on and things with medicine change all the time. I would
Mhm.
think that the knowledge piece, like, your stuff, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
even if, mom brain, which is a real thing,
It's a
and
real thing.
fatigue are making it difficult, like, you still know your stuff. And I would think that there's, podcasts and webinars and things that you can watch to keep the education side up.
Yeah.
But that hands-on piece of doing, that's not
Mhm.
something that you can practice while you're on maternity leave.
No. So, that's the thing that I am most nervous about. And I may just ask them, before I go back into my procedures, like, let me just do a refresher.
Mm.
and have someone just proctor me a couple times before I get to doing it on my own again. Because of course, safety is the priority
Yeah.
when it comes to the patients.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And like you said, you have a supportive team with
Mhm,
you. So I'm sure they'll
mhm,
all understand that. Do you have any
yeah.
plans of doing like a part-time transition back or are you just jumping full back in?
Right now, I'm jumping back in
Okay.
full time. And so I did consider possibly going back part time initially and then transitioning slowly back into full time, but I'm just gonna go ahead and go
Yeah.
back to it. Yeah.
Yeah. My
I don't wanna
guess is
teach
that
I don't wanna just jump all in. I don't wanna, be like, "Oh, I like this part time." I like only having to go in twice out of the week, or once out of the week. So I don't
yeah,
wanna teach too much.
yeah, that would be tricky. My guess is
It
you'll get back and it'll come back to you, but I understand the kind of anxiousness. I don't know if anxiousness is the right word, but just kind of not sure of what to expect when you go back. Do you feel like when you went back with your son, I know the kind of work that you were doing was different, but did you have that same nervousness for forgetting things or not being as sharp with your skills as you were before?
I did. So in that position, I actually did way more procedures than I do now. So because we had the urgent care aspect, I was doing
Okay.
laceration care, I was doing INDs, and then I was also doing pap smears. I mean, I did
Mhm.
several procedures, whereas now I'm really only doing one procedure,
Okay.
which is orthotesis. So that's really the only procedure I do now. But before, I mean, it's several things that I had to try to remember. The other thing is with my first job with my son, with it being urgent care and primary care, there are way more components to that. Urgent care, you have to know a little bit about a lot,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Now in my current role, I have to know a lot about one one space. So it's really just the lungs. But like I mentioned, you're dealing with, cardiac as well. You're dealing with GI. You're looking at the full body
Right.
when it comes to making decisions. But ideally, you're still specializing, right? You're still specializing in pulmonary. So
Yeah.
it's a little different in that sense.
It is. It is. But you did well last time, and I have faith you will do well this time too.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited.
Is there something that you either that you want to hear to like have encouragement about this next chapter? Like if you wish someone could tell you something about how you're going to be able to handle, is there something that you're wanting to hear, needing to hear?
Honestly, I would just say if someone could just say, it's going to be okay. I think those words and people say it, but now that I've had my son and dealing with what we had to deal with, regarding his health issues and being
Yeah.
premature, people would say that, but you really didn't know until you were on the other side of it. And so now we're on the other side. I'm like, you know what? It is. Like, people would say, "You're gonna see the light at the end of the tunnel." And I
Mm,
do see the light. And so knowing this time, going from 1 to 2, again, just having that same mentality, like, "You know what? You got through it the first time. You're gonna get through
yeah.
it again. It's gonna be okay. You're gonna make it
Yeah.
happen. Your kids still love you regardless of whether you do have to leave them to go to work or
Mhm.
not. They are
Mhm.
still going to be calling mommy at the end of the day,
Mhm.
So even though, yes, you may feel the guilt, just knowing that you are doing something to better your family, and to help
Mhm.
your family. And it's a small sacrifice that you have to make, but your children are still going to love you. And one day they will understand why it is that you had
Mhm.
to do what you had to do.
Hey, I want to pause just for a second before we get back into the conversation. If you've been listening to these stories, Terrica's, Jess's, and any of the women in this series, and something in you keeps saying, yes, that is me. I feel that too. I want you to know that I hear you and I'm building something just for you. It's called the Calm Mom Workshop. Calm stands for clarify, alleviate guilt, leverage capacity, and maintain alignment. It's the exact method that I use with my private coaching clients to help working moms stop feeling like they're failing at everything and start actually feeling like themselves again. The workshop is 2 days. It'll be live on Zoom happening late summer 2026. We're going to go through the whole method together, the identity piece, the guilt piece, the practical day to day piece, all of it. And at the end, I'm going to show you what it looks like to keep going. Registration isn't open yet, but I want you to be on the wait list so that you hear about it first and get early pricing when we do open it. The link is going to be in the show notes. It takes about 30 seconds to get yourself on that wait list. Go get your name on the list and then come right back here because we've got more of this conversation to get into. And not just understand why you had to do it, but also admire what you're doing. I mean, you're helping people. You're taking care of people who medical care, like you're doing something amazing with the work that you're doing. So there's meaning behind going, you're
Mhm.
doing something really meaningful and special and they will admire that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it is good. I think one of the things that I worried about and I hear lots of other moms talk about too, is just like that somehow we're damaging our kids by going to work and not being with them and not creating that secure attachment. And as you've seen from your 4-year-old, you know that's not true. You have a wonderful relationship with him. He's doing well. Like
Mhm.
it's going to be okay. So there's that internal longing to be with each other, but also some um, comfort in knowing that it turns out okay, anyways.
Yeah.
When you go back to work, what is one thing that you hope to remember about this season of maternity leave that you'll carry with you when the days are hard?
With this maternity leave, I'm hoping to just carry with me all of the love. And, it's just so much love between my husband and I, our kids, how my son loves his sister, just
Mhm.
the relationship aspect, and that's going to carry
Yeah,
me through because family is everything. So,
absolutely. And one of the things that we talk about in therapy school, especially from a family systems perspective, is that hurt and pain is often caused in broken relationships, or, if we want to think about it in this context of feeling pulled away from that connection with your baby, right? But
mhm.
the healing is also provided through relationship. And so when you think about the loving bond and connection and the support that you do have, that provides that comfort and that peace, which is so nice.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
anything that you think nurse practitioners or healthcare workers in general should know for the moms who are like doing this for the first time and are still on maternity leave? Like, what do you think they need to know?
In terms of what,
Just
going
like
back to
what to
work or just
expect being a working mom as a nurse practitioner or anything like that.
yeah, so no 2 days are the same, okay? You will
That is
have some days where things are going so smoothly, and then you'll have other days where it's gonna be very difficult just to handle the day. But you just know, give yourself grace, basically, and know that you are doing a good job, your kids love you, and that you will get through it. When you're transitioning back to work, it will have its challenges as a working mom, but it's not
yeah.
anything that you can't get through, and
Yeah.
if you do have those hard days and you're at work, look at pictures of your baby,
Mhm.
um, you know, or call your baby. I do a lot of FaceTime calls with my baby. He's just like, "Mom, I want to talk to mom," because I also work weekends. So
Okay.
those times where he's, home with dad, or when I was working, he was home with dad, he would just call me and FaceTime me. "I wanted to talk to you, mom." And I'll take that time for him, or just making sure, like, "Hey, baby, mommy's at work right now, but I will give you a call back once I'm done. I will give you a call back." And he understands that, but I always make sure to call him or talk to him. So that helps carry me through the
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. Absolutely. I wish daycare would let me call. That would be really helpful.
Yeah.
That would
And
be
luckily
great.
though, like, even for me, I would go over and walk over to my baby's daycare because it was near, one of my facilities. I would
That's
walk
okay.
over there and just see him, I would do it during his nap time because if he saw me, then he thought we were going home.
Okay,
So
I was going to ask because that would not go over well with us. He'd be
yeah,
like, "Oh, you're here to get me."
yeah, no, so I had to do it during his nap time. And
Okay.
then I also did it during his playtime, and so I would just kinda walk the area and just kinda peek on him playing outside and just make sure he didn't see me, but it just made me so happy to just know, "Hey, I got to see my son," so
That is so sweet. We live really close to school. I told you we walk most days, but it's
Mhm.
like almost in our backyard. So if I happen to be working from home and I step outside, I can hear them playing on the playground. And, it's not quite seeing him, but it is nice to know like he's having fun. He's
Yes,
happy. He's
yes.
okay.
Mhm, mhm.
It's
Makes a
definitely
difference.
nice.
Makes all the difference.
Yeah. There was also one day where like I heard a ton of sirens and my mom anxiety totally convinced me that there was something wrong. So I got in my car and drove over to the daycare
Uh-huh.
and there was nothing there. It was fine. But yeah, sometimes we got to keep it in check.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes we can go a little overboard sometimes, but,
It's a balance. It's a
it's a
balance.
balance.
So, Terica, thank you so much for coming on. I feel like this is a unique perspective of being on maternity leave, but also having done this before. And just a good reminder that every baby and every situation is different. And just like you said, no 2 days are the same.
Mhm.
This experience is not the same as the last. And so just hopefully provide some good encouragement for a mom who's listening and wondering what to expect. Where can folks find you and like follow along to see your journey?
So if you wanted to follow along, I am on Instagram, at Life with Terrica, and that's really the main platform that I have focused on.
I will include your Instagram link in the show notes if people want to find you there. Any final words or last thoughts?
Basically, just want to reiterate and encourage moms, working moms specifically, that the days are long, but the years are short. And so it's going to be challenging, but just really soak up all the moments that you can with your child and realize that, that is a ministry in itself. Serving your
Yeah.
family is a ministry in itself, and that, you just want to make sure that you're pouring into them. Also, take care of yourself because you can't really pour from an empty cup. But take some time to pour into yourself, continue to pour into your family, and things will be all right.
Yes, absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Terica, for coming on. I really appreciate it. So, wasn't Terrica wonderful? I just loved her and I really enjoyed our conversation. I think what she shared today is going to stick with a lot of you. So, before I let you go, let me pull out a few things that really stood out to me from our conversation. First one, the guilt is real and it doesn't mean that you're making the wrong choice. Terrica talked so openly about dreading the drop offs, about already feeling that pull away from her daughter before she's even gone back. And what she kept coming back to is that her kids still know who their mom is, and that bond doesn't break because you go to work. Takeaway number two, financial reality is not a failure of vision. For so many of us, going back to work isn't a choice, it is the plan. And Terica named that very honestly. Her income is what provides stability for her family while her husband builds something new. And there is nothing wrong with being the one who holds it down. That is strength. Takeaway number three is that the mental load doesn't take a day off, but you can set it down for a moment. Terica described her mind as being on a hamster wheel and always spinning. And as a woman in healthcare, especially, we carry so much. She's actively working on getting her body and her mind back, and that matters. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and she said it herself. Takeaway number four, your career is also a ministry. Terrica is a nurse practitioner taking care of people who are really sick, and that work has meaning. And one day her kids won't just understand why she went, they'll be proud of it. So if your work matters, remind yourself of that on the hard days. Takeaway number five, give yourself grace. No 2 days are the same. Some will be smooth and some will wreck you. And that's the job, both of them. Keep going anyway. So, if this episode spoke to you, if you heard something in Terica's story that felt like your story, I want you to do three things. First, follow or subscribe wherever you're listening or watching, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, so you never miss an episode of The Return. Second, share this with a friend who needs to hear it. You probably already know exactly who she is. And third, if you have a minute, leave a review. It genuinely helps more moms find the show. And that's the whole point of all of this. Next week, we will hear from Jess. She's a healthcare administrator, a spin instructor, and a first time mama who is 9 months into this working mom life and has a lot to say about the identity shift that nobody warned her about. You don't want to miss it. So until then, take care of yourself, be well, and I'll see you next week.